Ugh, I need a haircut and a real job or something. What is up, everybody? I'm Taylor. It is October 24th. Oh, the hell is it? Almost November already. This is just stupid. This is Cranky comic book review, worst to best. Everybody knows the rules. I can't keep saying that because I didn't come up with the rules, and it's Rock and Robbie's thing. Whatever. Anyways, worst to best. We're going to get there in a minute. First, thank you to everybody who donated last weekend or showed up or donated their time or their effort or anything, especially Rob's Fat Stacks, DJ Links, and Mark from Legion of Comics, who donated generously of all three of their time, money, and everything else. I don't know what the other third thing, I forgot what it said. Comics Cure Cancer raised over $51,000 for the American Cancer Society last week, and it's goddamn amazing. It was great to see the community come out in force to support the effort. People got great books out of the deal. People just donated. People donated art and a bunch of other shit and like comics and fantastic stuff. And it was heartwarming, and it warmed the cockles of my cold, bitter, dead heart, and it was great. So, Comics Cure Cancer, the link is still down below. You can still donate. You're not going to probably get any books or stuff from it, but you're going to fight cancer and do some good in the world, so what the hell, do it. Plus, now Lee from Wax Comics waxed his eyebrows. Tyler from Wax Comics needs to get a tramp stamp, and then Dr. Von Hoot is going to get a tattoo of Tyler getting a tattoo of a tramp stamp, so that alone is worth everything, right? Anyways. Also, go vote for somebody in that other thing that I can't remember the name of. Link down below. Your favorite YouTube creator. What the hell is it? I can't remember the name of the awards show. Comic Book Community Awards. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, and it's a Tuesday, so let's get into this. I read some digital stuff. I'm going to try and sprinkle it in where it fits. I kind of sometimes forget because, like, I have a stack, and then when I go through the stack, I can be like, oh, that's what I'd like next, but then there's no digital because I can't digitally stack because I'm not clever enough to figure that one out. So here we go. My LCS also did not have a few books. So no Wonder Woman 2 and no Unstoppable Doom Patrol number 7. They're both DC. I have the app thanks to generosity of folks. I'll read it digitally. And then, yeah, there's a couple others like Firepower. My LCS doesn't get. I'll catch up on that at some point. And I kind of gave up on Void Rivals because it just wasn't doing it for me. So, speaking of books that aren't doing it for me, Edenwood number 1 by Tony S. Daniel. Tony S. Daniel. This is Tony S. Daniel. You can tell it's his baby. It's written by him. It's art by him. It's a fantasy world. It is kind of pretty gorgeous Daniel-y art and stuff. And it's like weird, like, not weird, but anime influenced like designs and piratey stuff and fighting, and then kind of a nonsensical story. and there's it sort of plops in the middle of things, which is fine. The dialogue also, there's a lot of it. You can sort of tell it's not like Tony's forte to write, or he doesn't have a lot of practice, I guess, writing for a shitload of comics. And then, I mean, you just get a lot of verbiage in places. Instead of showing, he tells in a lot of ways, which is kind of a cardinal sin or something I just personally hate. And yeah, I just wasn't. The story didn't grip me. As great as the art was and as bloody as it was, and there's a big reveal at the end and stuff, but like you're not emotionally invested in any of the characters, so the real reveal at the end doesn't goddamn matter. And it just kind of was. Yeah, not good. I really didn't like it, like at all. Really didn't care for it. Sorry. Edenwood number 1. All right, next. We have, you know what, Catwoman. It's a digital one. Yeah, Catwoman's next. I really didn't like that one either. What the hell number is it? Well, I'm not going to talk much about the digital stuff right now because I read it a couple days ago. I read it over the weekend, and it's Dawn of DC. It's Catwoman, written by Teenie Howard, art by Leon, and whatever. It's the middle of the Batman-Catwoman war. I hated the art. It just really felt weird and digital and kind of displaced. And the story itself, look, I'll put up a cover thingy if I remember. How do I say this? I agree with Catwoman, and I agree with their point of view in the story, but it's like a very ham-fisted approach to telling a story. And I get comics can do that, and that's kind of what comics do. They tend to get ham-fisted because you have 22 pages, you're combining art, you're combining a story, you're combining all this stuff. And so, like, subtlety is not really generally a strength of comics, but I think I need to be a little more subtle. When people like complain about things being rammed down their throat, I don't really empathize with that a whole lot because usually they're secretly into it. But in this case, I do think like the point that they're trying to make and the fact that Batman's going batshit nuts and is clearly on the wrong side of this war is great. It's just it needed a little more nuance to really get it going for me. And I didn't care for the book, so it is what it is. There we go. Moving on to Hallows Eve, the Big Night #1. This is, it's a one shot by somebody Schultz and other people. And like Hallows Eve is a sort of interesting character that I never really got the first appearance of because I'm not that smart. Erica Schultz and is the writer, and Michael Dowling's the artist. And this is a one shot around Halloween because it's Hallows Eve, right? And it's all right. The way Hallows Eve works is she has a bag of masks, and they were like up until now. The sort of like universal monster masks, like horror masks, like Frankenstein and Dracula and Werewolf. But now the rules have changed somehow, and it's kind of more typical hero, which I don't dig. And then the story itself relies on a really bad kind of pun joke and a weird wish to like make it make sense, and then not a ton is even really resolved. I don't know. It's an okay one shot. If you like the character, you might like it, but I think they made unnecessary changes to the characters, sort of DNA to fit this book, and then it's just the rest of it's just kind of typical fly by night, kind of middle of the ground. Like, we're going to try and sell a book this fucking Halloween because that's what we do. Because they're Marvel, we need to sell some books. It's Halloween. It's Halloween. Buy some books, people. Buy. Consume. All consuming. Speaking of which. First book, actual book, other than the Distillery D Cups or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. The anthology. This is Jock writing Gone by Jock. And Jock's another artist doing righty stuff. Let's Gone. It's a gorgeous book. It's a sci-fi book, which I like both of those things. And like the color palette's kind of weirdly muted, though, throughout the whole thing. And the story itself, it gets muddy in places, and you think a comic artist would know to make the panels visually clear. I mean, Jock's not necessarily a visually like clear artist. Like he abstracts things, and I appreciate that. But there are panels where I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then there's character designs where I'm like, who is this one? And then yeah, and in the span of like a short amount of time, I kind of got lost, and then I found my way again. And then once I found my way, I still wasn't very interested. It's just whatever reason the story didn't grab me. It's a giant-sized book, beautifully printed. It's $9 goddamn though. And if all these Distillery books are going to be that much, I won't be buying many of them. My budget can't handle it. And like trying to transform the comic industry by getting everybody to pay more for better shit, if the shit's better, sure, I'll pay for it. But like if it's a story that lists, I'm like, like you can't. There's only so many flyers you can take. There's only so many like chances you can be like, oh, let's see if this is any good. And it wasn't. It was all right. It was better than Hallows Eve, and it did have some interesting moments. And like, if you love Jacques, you might like this a lot. But like, the story itself is just really not a ton to it. And then when the story does get going, you're like okay, sure. Like, it's sort of another like plopped into worlds. But I mean, look, it is a gorgeous goddamn book. And so if you're in it for just the art, your biology might bear it. You might like it. All right. Do I have to sprinkle yet? What else do I have left? No, I'm going to go a little further. The Immortal Thor #3. I probably bitched about this and said I was dropping it. It's Thor. I can't help myself. I've been reading Thor for fucking ever. And like, Donny Cates got me to drop it, or actually whoever took over after Donny Cates, because it was god-awful. And this is not god-awful. This is Al Ewing with Martin Coccolo on the art, or however you pronounce the last name. Sorry if I'm butchering it. And it's got Loki being a trickster, except for the trick's not very clever. It's sort of the one-done like setup of what's coming next, which it seems like all of these have been for Thor, which we're 3 issues in. Like, set the shit up and get going already, Ewan. Like, dear God, I get Thor's immortal, but the audience isn't. And the art's fine. I mean, the art is, I don't know, I like Nick Klein's stuff better when he was on here, the scratchier stuff, and it's nothing will still probably ever top Walt Simonson for me in the Thor realm. It's just kind of what I grew up on and what I loved. Like, and this is a serviceable, middle of the ground, middle of the road, middle of the mixed metaphor Thor story with the middling riddles and middling Loki being a middling trickster that might or might not be helping Thor in the long run. It's all right. It's fine. 6-0. And then, yeah. All right, next. You know what? Actually, the DC was going to go a little higher than this, too. These, my LCS did not have them last time. I was finally able to get it today. Alpha Flight 2 and 3. I'm enjoying this more than I probably should. There is also nostalgia built into this. Like, the writer is Ed Brisson, art is Gottlewski. Yeah, on both of these. And, like, I'm reviewing them as one because I can cheat and I do this on my own. It's like, this is part of the Fall of X kind of, yeah, so like it says Fall of X here. I'm not reading the rest of it. It's just there's, Orcus is tearing apart mutants because mutants are bad. Same shit as the 80s with Chris Claremont, but it's now Orcus. And so everyone's trying to kill mutants, and the mutants are in a band together, and they got rid of the weird island of Krakoa where everyone was living. And now Alpha Flight, they're in the north, so it's all that but Canadian. And it's a solid enough story. They're like the Alpha Flight and Department H are at odds, and there's sinister, nefarious forces running one or both of them because it's Alpha Flight. And so it really ties into my love of the first Alpha Flight run, which had a lot of that in there. Like, you don't know who's good and who's bad, and like alliances are shifting, and it's weird Canadian superhero politics, which I just dig. And then you get the Guardian, you get Snowbird, you get Puck, you get North Star, you get all the old characters. You get the Shaman. I can't remember if that's the character's actual name now or not, but like, and then Nemesis, which is a newer one, and like you kind of need to know a little bit of what's going on in the Fall of X thing. But I mean, even if you don't, there's explanatory letters in here because it's the X-Men thing to do, and then you can get caught up pretty easily on this one. Like, you're not going to be too far in the weeds. It's probably more important that you have a knowledge of Alpha Flight than you do of the Fall of H or Fall of X or whatever the fuck. So, but I dig it. It's not fantastic. I mean, it really isn't. But it's like just hit me right enough in the like, feels of when I was reading as like the first comics the first time around that I kind of dig it. So it's a middle of the road fine. It's fine. It's fine plus. Alpha Flight 2 and 3. The covers are god awful, and like the art is a bit better on the inside, like a bit. Art is not amazing at all either. It's like Scott Godlewski's fine, but like it's just maybe I'm in a mood today. I'm probably in a mood today. Everything just feels so damn typical and so digital and so like all of it, or almost everything I read today, like the art, almost everything. There's some exceptions, but the art's just kind of like, look at like digital gradient, colory background. Whatever. Next, we're gonna put. What are we doing next? You know what? We're gonna do just a brief overview because like I Brave and the Bold, or World's Finest actually. I read 15 and 19. And whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a two multi-part stories. It's Mark Waid on the writing, and it's Dan Mora on the first part of them, and then somebody else more on the second two. There's the Riddler, there's other stuff, and like I don't really want to get into the whole plot thing. It's a light and fluffy book. It kind of really is throwing back to the Silver Age, like feel of things where Batman and Robin first started working together, and then they are reintroduced to these, updated heroes, updated villains with updated more evilness. It's an entertaining book. It really is. I probably will go back and read the first 15 issues digitally because I have the ability to do that. I'm glad I'm not picking it up monthly. I think it is a little bit just too light and airy. It's like cotton candy. You're like, all right, how much of this shit do I really need? But if you're in the mood for it, it's great. It's not like funny. It's not like Peacemaker tries hard. It's just kind of fun. It's a light, fun read. And so, like, if you're looking for that, that might be up your jam. I do think Dan Mora is great on the art. The replacement Moore, who I don't have the name in front of me, and I'm not going to look it up because I'm way too goddamn lazy, it's not as good. And then the villain in this newest arc, the 17, 18, or issues 18 and 19, not as great. The way the digital stuff works, it's always like a month behind. So I think 20 came out last week, and I missed it, but I didn't miss it. I will read it digitally, and that's the beauty of this digital thing. Because, like, I can read 20 issues of it as part of my yearly subscription. I don't own them, granted, but like it'd be $4 to $5 a pop plus tax and everything else. So that's $200 right there for 20 issues, or you pay what, I don't know, 100 and something for the year. And then you get all this stuff and everything else. Like I just read Hellraiser #1 last night. I'll talk about that in a different video. But for now, we're going to move on. No, you know what? Actually, we're going to throw the other DC book in here too, because I think it's about where it fits. The last DC book I read was a surprise, actually. And that is Punisher War Journal. No, it's not. It's a Green Lantern War Journal. John Stewart Strikes Back with Phil Kennedy Johnson and Montos on the art. And again, I'm not going to do a full review of this, but like, and I'm not a giant Jon Stewart fanboy. I don't really know much about the character, although I know he's the more militant of the Green Lanterns. That comes across in this issue. He's a militant Green Lantern that somehow doesn't have a ring, but still Green Lantern and badassing. And like, it did rope me in enough that I will read the next issue at least digitally. And that's a big thing because like my time is money, people. I'm very fucking important. I'm very fucking valuable. I'm not. I got nothing to do with my life. Please entertain me. Please give me a reason to go on. But I liked it. The art is kind of grim and gritty, and it fits. Or actually, it's more than it fits like the War Journal idea of it. I didn't expect that out of the cover because the cover, as you can see, is kind of not necessarily light and fluffy, but it's not. It's digital typicalness with the DC's brand of bleh right now with some of that. But the grim and gritty art on the inside is nice, and then the story, it's Jon Stewart being a badass and saying, "Come at me, bro." And that's, without spoiling a whole lot more, it's a good setup, and it's a good enough there for me to keep going with it. So next we're going to go with this one, people. Next. And I know I've probably talked about ending this, and this is still not going to be for everybody, and it's not going to be for people who have not read the rest of Black Hammer. This is Black Hammer: The End, which is really Jeff Lemire's take on the multiverse saga meets Galactus eating the planet, eating the world devourer. And like, it's his sort of homage and love letter to those kind of events and the big event books. And all of Black Hammer kind of has been, but this arc especially feels like it. You get different styles by Malachi Ward throughout this that some are better than others, but I've learned to appreciate Malachi's art more than I thought I would. He has a sensibility that really kind of does fit well within the Black Hammer universe. It's still not my favorite Black Hammer artist, and this story is not going to be for everybody. Like, dear God, like, you are going to be goddamn lost if you pick up this issue or any of the Black Hammer: The End without reading the rest of it. So hunt down the omnibuses, the omnibuy, the collected things, whatever. Find a way to read it digitally on Comixology or wherever the hell it's collected. I don't know where it's collected. It's Dark Horse, so who the fuck knows? But yeah, I am enjoying the story. I am enjoying what Jeff Lemire's trying to do. I'm enjoying the kind of emotional punches that it has and the sort of beats that he's setting up. But like, you really have to have a history and knowledge of what's been going on in this universe. It is like getting plopped into issue like 30, really, of an ongoing series instead of 3 of a mini series that I just dropped and ruined the spec value of. That's what is it, 3 of. I don't know how many it is. It's not 3 of whatever, but it's the end. Black Hammer: The End. All right, next. Rumpus Room, number 2. This, I think, actually came out last week, but LCS. It's LCS, so it is. This is Mark Russell with Ramon Rosanas on the art, and this is Mark being not subtle, but in a way I enjoy. Like, rich people are evil, like Jeff Bezos and everyone else that owns the planet. Can do whatever they want, literally, because they have so much fucking money and so much power and so much things, everyone looks the other way. And that's kind of this, because this is about a billionaire that's literally keeping people as prisoners in the basement and squeezing them and using them and turning them into skin products. Like, it's got a, I believe, yeah, if I remember right from the first one, maybe the skin products thing I'm imagining, but so you get all these like disparate like people trapped in a basement of a mansion in I think California, and they're all trying to figure out whether it's worth getting out. And the new person's like, yeah, let's get out, and everyone else is like, no, we can't, we're trapped, we tried. This is sort of the backstory issue of like, where they sort of explain how they can't, they tried, then more of the billionaire going be billionaire douchebaggy stuff and being a bad dad and all that stuff. And like, it is like, when I say comics are not subtle, this is not fucking subtle, but it's not supposed to be in this one, and it's entertaining as all hell. If you disagree with like Mark's satire, you're probably not going to get as much enjoyment out of this, like just because that's how America works. You can't be on the other side of an issue and still find enjoyment reading about like somebody poking fun at your shit, because that's not, nobody's got a sense of humor anymore. But if you think billionaires should be eaten instead of eating or turning people into skin products, this might be for you. I dug it. It's 2 of 5, yeah, from AWA. Yeah, it's satire. It's good. It's fun. It's not the book of the week, but we're getting up there. Like, these last 3 books are pretty good, and like, you're going to see a pattern from me because it's just nature of the beast. Like, look, Ice Cream Man made my top couple books. That's fucking shocking, isn't it, people? Never happens. It's Mark. Yeah, Martin Marazzo. No, who is it? WSL Prince. Jesus. Yeah, and Martin Marazzo on the art. Ice Cream Man. I don't know what I can say about this. It has been said before by me. It's great. It's a single issue. It's one and done. You could just read this and not have to read anything else. This is a more melancholy than horror. Like the story, and it does touch on the tragedies of war and mental health and like suicide and everything else. And it has like figgly winks and cute little marshmallow muffin characters that are intertwined and interspersed with the sibling going through their brother's belongings after the brother killed himself. So like, at first the juxtaposition doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but when you start reading it, it really does. And by the end, it's a pretty beautifully sad story, like a lot of the Ice Cream Men books. Like I think W. Maxwell Prince is at the top of his game right now. I think Martin Morazzo is an excellent collaborator, and they do great work together. The storytelling is top notch. You're never really confused as to what's going on in the story. It does have a bit of some of the digital and the plain color backgrounds, like I was just bitching about, but I don't care about it here. I probably should, but I'm inconsistent, people. I'm a reviewer that's like flippity flops on everything from 1 minute to the next. And also, I really dig Martin Morazzo's art, and I really dig Ice Cream Man. And so, whatever. I'll live with my inconsistencies. But Ice Cream Man number 37, fucking love it. Not my favorite book of the week, though. That goes to, which, if you ever watch my channel ever, or any reviews ever, this also might not surprise you. Rom V, Rare Flavors number 2 with Felipe Andrade. This is the same team that brought one of my favorite books from last year, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. And this is a different story about 100, but it's still definitely Rom V and Felipe Andrade. And it's still, your mileage may vary. There's touches of like Mobius art, but like a lot sketchier. And there's like, I don't know, Andrade has got his own style that like I really dig. A lot of these like new comic arts things are fairly minimal in a lot of ways, and like they let the coloring and the everything breathe more than old comic artists used to, and that's just the way it has been across the board. But I dig it as far as the art goes, and the lettering, not my favorite. Did I actually get schmutz on this book? God damn it! I just wrecked my fucking spec book. I'm kidding. The lettering is and world design. They also did the lettering on Jock, and I don't love their lettering. It's weirdly anti-slanty in ways and stuff, and it's fine. It's not fantastic. Give me a good old Justin Birch any days on lettering people. But the story, it's a demon who's been on Earth for years and is like grown to love the culinary delights of the planet and wants to make a documentary after many millennia while still maybe eating people. And so you get recipes of like lal mas, like wild red meat cooked in a smoky red Malthania chili broth, and then you get like a weird melancholy tale of like this demon who's sort of trying to like finish things up before the end, and then this documentary crew that's working with the demon and maybe getting eaten along the way. It's a strange mix of things, a rare mix of flavors, as it were. And I really am curious to see where this one goes. I have faith that this is going to turn into something very special. And this issue, I think, is the journey of the way there. If you like sort of the fairy tale nature and the kind of rambling like mythologies that Rom V works with and sets up and uses, you'll probably dig this. And if you like a more abstracted comic art that's not traditional and definitely not like superhero-y, where the characters can sometimes look a little different from panel to panel, but you're not really ever lost as to what's going on, I really highly recommend this. The first issue is great. I like the second issue a lot, and I'm interested to see where it goes. So that's what I've got. That's everything I touched this week. And, yeah, that's what I'm going to get out of here. Don't be a dick. And, I don't know. Go get your hair cut, you fucking hippie. I'll talk to you later. See ya.